Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And hello, everybody! Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show. We're here again. We've got another amazing guest. Oh, yes. We've got somebody who's come out with magazines and everything. 1111, my favorite number in the world. 11 has always been a favorite of mine anyway. And she has got incredible wisdom, knowledge. She's really remarkable being. And I think you'll see that today of presence, of really understanding and knowing at that deeper level. She's like somebody who's just like, oh yeah, like not in a bad way, but almost like you can just put your head on a pillow and just be like, oh yeah, go to having a great night of sleep tonight because I know all is right with me and everything within my being and the beingness of everything, because that's all there is anyway. And she's going to point you right into that directly and deeply, even starting today during the Energy Scan show. And then we'll go in deep with whatever level we can today anyway, into her purpose, her business, and all that awesome sauce. So, Simran, it's a real honor to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Daniel. It's wonderful to be with you, and I look forward to us diving into whatever can help the audience tap into what they would like to tap into.
Absolutely. All right, so Simran is the author of the book Signs, Everyday Encounters with Pathways, Turning Points, and Divine Guideposts, which I do run into a couple of those listeners. Absolutely, right? You think you got to figure it out. Well, I don't know. You probably do, but we're going to bring more light of awareness to it, talking about her book today and how profoundly guided you are. I don't know that you do understand that fully yet. We're going to get into it. She is the love catalyst, rebel humanitarian, and sacred soul activist. As the #1 rated host of 1111 Talk Radio and publisher of Nautilus Award-winning 1111 Magazine, Simran creates art, online courses, books, and media to bridge humanity's experience and expression. A Tedx speaker, Simran talks about the beauty of our humanity and all its expressions, and the radiance of our divinity as eternal experience. Simran is an author of the Gold Award-winning books, Conversations with the Universe, Your Journey to Enlightenment, and Your Journey to Love. Simran has also released a new trilogy on self-realization, Living the 7 Blessings, another beautiful number, 7 Blessings of Human Experience, being the 7 illusions that derail personal power, purpose, and peace, and knowing the 7 human expressions of grace. Simran resides there in Charleston, South Carolina, and is devoted to the journey of the soul. Okay, so again, glad to have you here. And oh wow, so you recently did come out with this new book. You created all this wonderful stuff in the world, and all being birthed from the eternal presence within, always, of course. Where else would it come from? And but I would love to learn more about your most recent book, Signs, that just came out March 2023, from what I've been hearing.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, all of my books always come from my personal experience, and the beginning of my own spiritual path actually was through the encounter of signs. I started seeing the numbers 11, 111, and 1111 about 40, 50 times a week. And I had asked for a sign and had no idea that they would flood in this way. And that resulted in my first book, Conversations with the Universe, which goes very much in depth into all the different types of signs that I discovered, because I started thinking, if the universe can talk to me through numbers, how many other ways can it speak to me? Well, fast forward now 10 years later, I have learned so much more than even from that first book. And part of the reason of putting out the book Signs at this time is because more and more people are open and awake and aware to what might be out there for them. And as we begin to open ourselves personally and spiritually, what tends to happen is we begin to notice the signs, or they start tapping us on the shoulder, or they are these encounters of things that we start to see repeatedly. And they are appearing for specific purposes because we're asking certain questions or because we're having certain thoughts in the moment. And so I wanted to create a book that not only had an understanding of what signs are, how they can appear, all types of signs, which ones are good and which ones are bad, or are there any bad ones, but also taught people how to deepen this conversation with the universe, how to call it in, how to discover their own dialect with the universe beyond the general meanings. And different than my first book, to have many other sacred storytellers share their experiences of signs so that individuals would come out of their spiritual closets and not be afraid to talk about their sacred encounters as they are moving in the world, because the more we talk about these mystical things, the more they become mainstream. And so Signs is that type of book that really does allow an individual to create a path of personal growth that is simple and fun and light and playful, and returns us back to more of that childlike wonder that we came in with, so that we can open our hearts and our lives to the true desires that we are seeking.
Beautiful. So I told you guys, don't you feel like you're gonna have a good night of sleep now? I mean, not that you're gonna get to sleep, just the comfort, the ease, the grace that emanates from her, right? So just so beautiful. So yeah, just like yeah, like I said, like a good bedtime story is just like, yeah, just keep reading. I want to hear more. So thank you for that. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So the 11 thing, it would be fun, right? I mean, it's got to be fun for me to share briefly about that. Like for me, I noticed it probably well, we had a pool table in the basement. I just noticed like the 11 ball was the one I was attracted to. I'm like, 11, that's my number. That's it. That 11 ball right there. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about the 11. I didn't know why I felt that way. I had no clue. I know different things, the different numbers on the different balls spoke to me differently, and I didn't know why. I just knew they did, and that was like when I started more consciously, have more conscious awareness of these numbers and how they were speaking to me. And then yeah, I could talk forever about signs, right? We all could, there's so many, but yeah, the 11 thing is really, really cool. Like me, like sometimes people have like shared experiences with signs too. I'll say something that's a little bit more unique. Like me and my daughter would constantly compare like repeating numbers that we were both seeing. Oh yeah, 11's everywhere, and like she would see it somewhere where she was at. Here's the 11 again, and then I would show her a picture. Here, I found the 11. Like I've seen 6 today. I've seen 10. I've seen what. And it was just fun. It wasn't a competition. It was just like noticing, like, wow, look how many 11s we're seeing, or it could be other numbers, I suppose, too. I think it was mostly 11s, but yeah, and sometimes with repeating numbers, I would like to ask you, actually, as somebody that's looked into these things, like repeating numbers. If the people have guides and you can look it up, and this is what it means, and typically, and all that sort of stuff. But of course, we all know that's just a launching point to your own. At the best, right? A launching point to your own understanding of what the heck that might mean to you, if anything. But yeah, there's definitely some repeating numbers I've got in my life that to this day I still don't know what the hell they're trying to tell me. I have no idea. I'm just like, I keep seeing this number. I have no idea. So I'm just like, after a while, I'm just like, okay, it's cool. I keep seeing these numbers. And by the time I got done, like trying to sort of figure it out, then it stopped happening. It's like, okay, so you don't really need those numbers anymore. So tell us more about that. Use that as a launching pad for anything you want to share. But why is that? Like I'm sure I looked up the number and everything. I did all that usual thing, but tuned in, asked my guides or whatever. I probably did everything, but I still like, yeah, but what does that mean? I still don't get it, right? So what is that about? Like when we get certain repetitive signs, and even if we research it, we tune in and everything, we still can't Because most of our listeners are a little more advanced. They're not like, oh, I've never heard of this sign thing. They've already been paying attention. But how do we handle that? Like, if we don't really know what it means, and should we let it even concern us whatsoever? Like, okay, whatever. I could, like I did. Eventually, I'm like, forget it. Okay, I'm done. I don't care anymore.
I believe, Daniel, that everything that shows up in our world is pointing us back to our center, and it is
Mhm,
a message
mhm.
that is coming to us. When I began seeing the 1111s, I didn't know what it means. I didn't know what it was trying to point me to. I just knew that I kept seeing it. And initially, when that happens, a person might think that they're losing their mind. They might think that something's wrong with them, or they might think that something weird is happening on the planet, when actually it really is just this nudge from the universe. After about 4 weeks of seeing the 1111 and not knowing what it means, I asked out loud, what are you trying to tell me? Either make it stop or give me an understanding of what it means. And the explanation that I was given was that the 1111 is a gateway. It's a gateway of mastery, and each of the ones represents the four pillars of mastery: the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. And that we are getting ready to walk through that doorway. Now, millions of people all over the world see 1111. And if someone in your audience does not, it does not mean there's anything wrong with them. It it is just to illustrate that there is something that's repeating in your life. And you might be seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, or you might be seeing the number 7, or it might not be a number at all. It might be a bird, a cardinal that appears repeatedly, or it might be a certain song that keeps showing up on the radio, or a particular word that every time you look up, there's a billboard with that word on it. So there are lots of different ways that the signs can show up. Numbers are a simple way that the universe uses to also help us know where on the personal growth path we are. So oftentimes, when we are starting to do that work, we will start to see the numbers 11, because 11 symbolizes mastery. It means you've opened the door. It's now to step into your mastery, and you're at that beginning level foundation. And the more we open to that true calling and what our heart wants and what is of a higher vibration, then the numbers start increasing, and you'll start to see 22 or 33 or 44 or 55. And as you deepen into your own authenticity, your own inner authority, your own connection to the universe, the numbers may move from double digit to triple digit. And then you'll see 333 and 555 and 777. And so that's just a gauge as to where you are. But should you have certain signs that are repeating, what I can guarantee you is that you were thinking something in that moment. And that thought was either a problem or an issue that you were very confused or having angst about, and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next. So that sign will repeat itself to you simply to say, the universe has your back. Don't worry. Focus on the present. Now, you might have the thought at the moment that you're seeing a certain number of where you wish you could be, perhaps a different job, a different relationship, a different life path. Perhaps you're dreaming of taking a trip that you never think you'll ever be able to take. In that moment, if the signs are repeating every time you think about that, the universe is really just saying, we've got your back, take the leap. And when you follow with inspired action and you actually take a step, whether it's a word, a thought, a feeling, a meditation, some sort of inspired action in response to the universe's conversation, then the universe can send you another sign, or open a doorway, or create a pathway, a turning point, or another divine guidepost, just like the title of my book, Signs. So this is an opportunity to develop greater intimacy, and to also see where your thoughts are going at the moments that this is happening. And once you begin this dialogue with the universe, you'll start to also notice what the discordant thoughts are that you are having that are keeping you from the very things that you want. And that's why I tell people signs can be absolutely the simplest, best personal growth path. They will teach you more about you than you've ever known, because initially you will step out there and you'll want to Google everything and figure out what it is. And then there comes a moment where instead, and I teach these techniques in the third section of the book, Signs, there's a way to step back and really start getting your own dialect where you begin deepening your intuition around what this sign means for you. Daniel, like you said earlier, two people can see the same sign, And in a general way, it'll mean the same thing. But if you do the work that I talk about in my book, all of a sudden that sign for one person may mean something entirely different than that sign for someone else. And they will both be correct based on your lens, your life, and your story.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, because I was trying to solve a question I had at that time, and I think that's why it wasn't just one number, it was a couple other numbers that kept coming, and it's like, well, you can do that. I think what it was really saying at the time, in part anyway, I always think there's a deeper meaning, but well, you could do this or you could do that. Oh, there's also this other possibility. But the number that kept coming the most, I'm like, I guess that's the answer. And I did take that cue sort of way, but I always thought there was more to it because even after I made that decision, it kept coming. I'm like, I'm like, why is it still coming? Okay, maybe it's not that. And your head gets so into it sometimes, right? It's just, well, I want to figure this out. I want to know what it's trying to tell me.
Well, it really
So,
is more about the feeling. And, we are a heady
yeah,
society. We will
yeah,
get
yeah,
caught
yeah,
inside our heads with
yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
we'll start to project those ideas or those things onto other people.
Hmm.
This is a path really to help you delight in the wonder of your connection. I tell people all the time, you're on life support, always. And the
Hmm.
universe is trying to show you that it's there for you. So if you can cultivate that feeling of knowing you're supported, then all of a sudden you develop a sense of trust with life, a trust with the universe. And most people really don't have that. We probably don't even stop long enough to think about whether we trust life or the universe or trust other people. And most of all, we probably don't even think about whether or not we trust ourselves. But if you can admit to yourself the truth that maybe I don't really trust any of it, then all of a sudden, when the signs start showing up, you will start to develop a trust that, okay, there is something much larger than me that is actually guiding me. And if in response to what the universe is providing me, I then take part in a conversation, because a conversation takes two, which means I have to respond in some way. And if I can make my response or action, then the universe will send back something else. And then that deepens trust inside self. And whatever we give to self, we're able to then give to others. So it becomes this way of deepening and rooting and grounding oneself inside the body. And the universe knows to use things outside of us because we're all so distracted. We're always running outside for everything. And so, why not have the signs out there where we're going to look anyway, but then bring those signs back inside, which is what the intention of the universe is.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so yeah, there's all different types of signs. Repeating numbers is one of the ones a lot of people talk about. You got, because everything's a sign, right? I mean, there isn't everything a sign, like every little, that's what I have always taught. I mean, every single thing is speaking to you all day. It's just a matter of you're paying attention to it or not. Um, so it's really being observant, and it isn't, yeah, it isn't a heady thing. I mean, I'm a great spiritual master with a great mental energy potential as well. So I can sit there and analyze and slice and dice, and then I can just be like, yeah, it doesn't matter any of that stuff, like I've got both things going. So yeah, but that curious mind always is trying to nail it down. What does that mean? And what's going on? What's happening? And I do wonder about that, like, because like I get it, like this, okay. When you're surrendered, you're in trust, and you just either or you don't, and it's okay either way. And if you're curious, you'll just naturally find yourself to it occurs to you, or you're tuned in, or whatever, right? So um but it's interesting, the faculty of the mind is like, yeah, we could do that, but I'm really interested to dive in. I mean, I could just trust that, that's fine. I really, really just would love to play with life and see what the hell all this is all about, like, so it's like, it's interesting, a little thing like signs, and like where it's guiding you, how it's what it's guiding you into inside yourself ultimately is what you're saying, right? Ultimately, it's just a journey home, of
Well,
course.
people don't realize how unconscious we all are. And
Mm-hmm.
we've been convinced, and particularly people in the spiritual community, or positivity movement, they convince themselves that they're awake and that they're conscious and all of that stuff. And the truth is, all of us, even the highest spiritual master, is
Mm-hmm.
usually 90 to 99% unconscious. Like we all
Mm-hmm.
are.
Mm-hmm.
And once we can accept that fact and understand that, we can realize why we don't see all the signs that are there. And so the
Mm-hmm.
initial starting point for a lot of people is getting those momentary glimpses, those little
Mm-hmm.
divine guideposts that drop into our lives that all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden we get really excited about, and we want to call a friend and say, "Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe I just saw a sign and it was the most magical thing." And it's I've been asking for something or been thinking about something, and here this showed up. And we delight in those things, but because of our distraction and our unconsciousness, oftentimes we're excited for that short momentary piece, and then we flip that over our shoulder and we continue on our way with regular life. And so this pathway of signs is something that unfolds for many people. And momentarily, it is all these things outside of us. And it's just the things that at a moment connect to something that we're thinking about. But like you just said, everything is a sign. And as you deepen into life, you start to recognize that it's not just these momentary things, but that everything is a sign. That burst pipe in my house is, that flat tire on my car is, the individual in front of me is. And then when you expand the whole signs conversation there, all of a sudden you're really deepening into a sense of sign work that then can impact our collective world. Because then we start to realize that angry grocery store clerk that I just bumped into, rather than me judging them, they're showing me all of the subconscious anger that I'm not willing to recognize inside myself and feel. If I were willing to recognize that anger and actually do the work around it, then all of a sudden my ripple of energy that is going into the outer world will not be unconsciously spreading more energy in the world to create more of the stuff like wars that happen, around the world. So the science conversation can begin as a very light and fun topic for those people that want it. But within the book, I also go into the deeper impact that we all have as we connect the dots, as we deepen into the parts of signs that illustrate our masculine and feminine balance or our multidimensional self that is creating both the dark and the light on this planet. And that's where the conversation gets really, really good. But for the newbie or for the person just beginning their spiritual path, to just notice a sign here or there is actually a wonderful practice of becoming more present. And that's why they kind of tap us on the shoulder.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it started back with pool balls. And like I noticed, just noticing something. I wasn't even thinking there's signs or anything. And I have no idea when I can't even remember what I started noticing, what I would consider, oh, that's a sign. I can't even remember like on my spiritual path when that started happening. But to this day, it's still, and I'm sure, I would think you're the same, but you're right. It doesn't entirely change. I mean, like you still get really excited. It's like, oh my God, I saw another Superman on the back of someone's car, Superwoman, whatever you like. But like, I that's so cool. And what that means to me is, often we do have a sense of what it means, and we get excited. And yeah, all the signs are around, and I think a lot of them are probably there that too to they can be anyway, a pathway to comfort and uh confidence of like things are on track, things are unfolding properly, right? And that we can trust. See, you got a sign. We can just
Well,
trust
it
that.
opens our heart, it
Yeah, yeah.
opens our eyes to more wonder, to more magic, to more
Mhm.
joy. It
Mhm.
opens the heart so that we can actually see the opportunities in front of us, so that we can magnetize more to us. And so
Mhm.
to be able to understand and call in consciously signs is calling oneself into greater awareness. It's not that the signs are showing up once in a while. It's that we're not present to everything that's out there.
Mhm.
And yet there's this inner calling from within us to be more present. And as we follow that inner calling, we tend to land on certain things that then become our signs. We step into moments of synchronicity where we line up with the very thing that we're wanting to see. And that just lets us know that we're so much bigger than we are. And ultimately moving down to the place of full self realization so that we have the full capacity of all of our powers, our emotional intelligence, our mental capacity, our physical strength, our spiritual mastery. All of these things are here for us to deepen into and expand on a continuous basis.
Yeah, I love what you said before because I've talked about that a lot on this show and elsewhere. This idea, because I've gone, I don't know, maybe you have too, like most of us, you go to teachers, you go to gurus maybe or whatever, and they have things to share for you and everything. And they've all been great. All the ones I've been to have been fantastic. They're all great. And there's always ego. There's always, you never get rid of the ego, no matter how actualized the being supposedly is in front of you. I remember one saying, yeah, and then I got to where my personal self completely dissolved, and I just am one with everything. I'm one with the sun and everything and all this stuff. And I'm like, great. That sounds so, and I was actually taken in by that. I was like, oh, that's what I want then. I guess that's where we're supposed to get to. Isn't that funny? Like that's how our mind thinks, oh, me need that. I gotta get that then. Okay. And then but then his words just betrayed him later. Like he'd be saying things that to me would betray that idea. Like it'd be like, yeah, well, that happens. I would be out there protesting, and that sounds like a personal assault to me. Like, it's not like just, oh, that's coming from nowhere. It's just, it just is, or it didn't sound that way to me. Like, I agree with you. Like, they may believe that, they may believe they've. I'm not saying he even said he's as fully realized as possible, but that impression comes across that way, right? And you're right. I totally believe like there's always more levels. The minute you think you're at the ultimate level, then you're gonna get you're gonna get your ass handed to you is what I want to say. Like, here, you think that's the ultimate level? Here, we got something new for you to look at. So I don't know. That's just been my experience with that and what I see with people. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
I'll interject with that because I have never been the type to follow any teacher or guru. It just didn't
Interesting. Cool.
that I
I
took.
haven't been big with it, but I definitely have had teachers. Yeah.
When my experience of signs began, it began because there was a lot of dysfunction in my personal relationships, and life didn't feel the way that I thought life should feel. Love didn't look like the definition of love is expressed. And so I thought this can't possibly be what life is about. There's got to be more. And so signs is the way that I began exploring the world and exploring myself. I decided that we really all do come in here with everything. And I'm here to have this interaction with something greater than myself that created everything. Then I should be able to figure out my own enlightenment on my own just through experience. And I love to tell people you're not on a journey, you are the journey. Through
Mhm.
every emotion, every mental thought, every experience, every expression, you are the journey. And that's
Mhm.
why there is nowhere to go. There's only right here experiencing you as you are right now in every feeling, every thought, every sensation that is running through your body. You are not in this world. You are every piece and part of this world, speaking back to you about you. You are the universe. You are the conversations with the universe. And so you really are only interacting with yourself all of the time. So when that pebble, that rock, that boulder shows up in your life, it is really just a conversation of you with you, trying to show you parts of yourself that you haven't seen. When you see an innocent baby or a butterfly or a rainbow, these beautiful things in front of you are showing you your highest essence, your innocence, your ability to fly. And so once we start to look at life from that type of magical landscape and start to realize, all that we are, that is that oneness that some of those gurus talk about. They make it lofty and they make it ethereal. But if you make it practical, then all of a sudden you actually can walk the earth in a more compassionate and loving way, because you're not trying to create a story out of your spirituality. You're just being in the world just as everything is being. And when we do that, we don't have to judge our emotions. We don't have to judge our expressions. We simply are an expression of life in that moment. And then duality is not even duality. Duality then falls underneath the umbrella of oneness. Oneness is both dark and light. It's not one or the other. And so all of this is something that I came to, and it's just through following the signs. It's just through saying to every single thing the 5 questions that I list in the book that I ask myself about any encounter that I have. And the more I've done that, the more I have been able to become self-realized, which just means that you truly understand levels of yourself to such a degree that you are uncovering the unconscious, all that is subconscious within you, and bringing that to light with what you think is conscious. And that's the work that we're here to do on the planet.
Mhm. Yeah, it is interesting point that you make about what you think is conscious. Yeah, because that isn't it. How do you know it's conscious? I think I'm being very conscious right now. Damn it. I mean, okay, maybe, maybe not, right? So I think that's an interesting take on it, because yeah, definitely people get into the idea of what they think is conscious or not conscious, and who knows, right? So okay, I would love to ask you more about the book. We promised an energy scan show on top of this, so I'll just say, get the book to get to the rest. Yeah, for the 5 questions and all that, get the book, get the book. We'll tell you more about how to do that later, but you all know how to do it. Look it up online, you can find it, and but we'll talk more about that later. So, wanted to talk to you today about on a practical level, and as well, about your purpose, your business, what you're up to. You've got your books and whatnot. So how do you support people in the world? You've got the books, and then I see you out speaking and everything, and you've had the magazine. I don't even know if it's an active magazine or not. Do you still have the magazine, the 1111, or?
It's free for anyone that wants to access it. All of the archives are there as well. I have a different philosophy. I'm not an individual that goes out there and markets and builds a business and all of those
Mhm,
kinds of things in the way that our society has conditioned us. I
mhm,
I call myself a spiritual rebel because I truly believe that there's no problem outside and there's no
mhm,
problem inside. That if we simply dive into our creativity and fully explore and express that, and then are willing to celebrate our creativity as an example and as a model to other people, then all of a sudden everybody can step into their own divine purpose. And that means that there will pop up people whose delight and passion is to solve a certain problem in the world. And there will be other people that are here to create art, and there will be other people that are here to create something else. My passion, my soul drive, my dharma is to write. I'm here to create
mhm,
beauty. I'm here to write. I'm here to express. And that's really where I point my focus. I'm not attached to people buying or reading anything that I write. I just know that I had to put that stream onto the planet. That was the purpose
mhm,
for which I was born. And
mhm,
if that inspires people, if that delights people, if that calls to people, then it will help those people that it's designed to help. But it's not because of any attachments or strings that I put on my work. It's
mhm,
as if I'm birthing babies into the world. I'm caring for them, nurturing them, growing them in the way they need to be grown, and then saying, go off into the world and do what you're here to do. And I feel like that type of healthy unattachment, that lack of codependence to our work, actually will create a new world. It will create a new monetary system. It will create a new way of abundance, a new way of law of attraction, magnetism, and a new way in which we interact with one another that shifts our marketing paradigm from feeding off of one another and shifts it into celebrating one another, which I think is the way the world is going.
Hmm. Okay, cool. So let's talk about your business more in depth. Okay, all right. So you've got different things that you're creating, the magazine, your books, and what else do you like to create? I'm just curious what else you like to write, you said. So what else are you creating? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I paint. I paint art. My magazine and my radio show are something that from the beginning, when 1111 started, those were things that I really felt to give to humanity. Those were
Mhm,
things that just felt like gifts that were helping me and gifts that I was to give. So those
mhm,
are not things that I charge for. The writing is something that fulfills my soul. So books,
mhm,
online courses, all of those types of things I create and then I hand them over to someone else, like a publisher or
mhm.
something. And then that's where they take over and I get to still create. I love
Right.
to paint. I sell art. I create marketing and graphics and different things for other people because I love celebrating other people. And so I choose the spaces in my life that feel fulfilling and allow me to fulfill the aspects of myself that really illustrate my gift, skills, and talents. And I think that that's what individuals should do too. Really tap in to what is it that I do so naturally that I don't even think about doing it. And then
Mhm,
allow that to be part of who you are and what you express in the world.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Of course is what I say anyway. I love this podcast. That's why I'm here. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, there's a million other ways I could be sharing myself in the world, and I've done some of them. And right now, I love the podcast. So that's why we're here. I totally agree. So do people get, I don't know, healing, counseling, spiritual guidance? Do you do courses for people? Do you not do any of that? I'm curious.
I do have online courses. I
Hmm.
have opened up mentoring individuals again. We're going to have another show on the new trilogy that I've also just released. That is very deep, multidimensional work. It is work about how to truly be really present to awaken a level of humanity that most people haven't even tapped into. And so I've had many people after getting the new trilogy reach out and said, I'd love to have you walk me through as I move through this process because it is a very sacred and intimate process. And so I do work with a few people that are really, really intentional in wanting to deepen into their various levels of multidimensionality.
So are those people, I know this might drive you a little bit nuts at some level, but like, are those people any particular types of people, or are they all different sorts of people? I mean, are they, um, they're on a spiritual journey, I imagine. Um,
Usually it's people that have done some level of deep work because the
mhm,
the work in the trilogy, although a newbie could do it, it would be very deep work that puts them into places of their emotional body and mental body that requires deep presence. And oftentimes, to get to that level of presence, someone has to have done certain level of personal growth work already. Otherwise, it people are too distracted or not wanting to feel certain emotions.
right.
And to really tap into our humanity, we have to be willing to embrace all of the emotions that are going to come up and embrace them fully. And so I teach people how to be swallowed whole by some of the things that are coming in, because it is in that depth of swallowing that we actually can create alchemy, that we can transmute and transform
Mhm.
things to then allow the ego deaths, which are repeated, allow them to be gentler, allow them to uh, shed those parts of ourselves, those identities. It kind of goes back to what you were saying, about people not having a self or not having an ego or an identity. And it is very possible to do that. But I do it from the perspective of we're not here to kill off the ego. We're here to move from being slave to the ego to using the ego. Rather than being used by the ego, we now utilize the ego in a more powerful and higher light. And that's how we still contain all of who we are, but we reposition parts of ourselves to really step into the highest vibration as possible.
Yeah, great. So you do that on a one-to-one basis usually with people, or?
Do.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. I want to make a joke. I'm like, I love numbers. So what do you charge for your services? How do you do that? I'm fascinated by that, because if you don't mind me asking, because of this sort of being you are, like, well, are you like, I've done things in different ways. I've got set prices these days lately, but it's like I've done it all different kinds of ways. So I could say something like you. So what level do you want to celebrate yourself? But that might be manipulative, right? Like it might sound kind of manipulative. If it's low, you're not really celebrating yourself. I don't know. So how do you do investments with people? Is there a set amount, or how do you work that?
So if someone's working with me, it's very transparent. It's right on my website.
Okay.
They can see
Okay.
if they'd like to work with
Okay.
me or not, if I'm resonant or not with what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not attached to growing a business like that. I'm available. If that
Mhm.
is something that resonates with someone,
Mhm.
it's more about being available and being of service to those that it will serve. And
Mhm.
and if it serves, a few, then I serve a few. If it serves many, I serve many. I am not interested in doing huge arenas or
Yeah.
um, you know, I believe we have to have a balance of what fulfills us and also what can serve. And
Mhm.
my own time, my own fulfillment is what helps me to create the work that I do. And so I have to keep that balance and be very discerning about how many clients and who to really work with so that I keep the energy very, very clean.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I like that. So, do you have any, rather than me like poking around and just sharing things with you that excuse me, may or may not be something that would be most helpful or whatever. I'm just curious, there's a part of us that has no questions, and then there's a part of us that might have some questions. So do you have any questions on anything that you would like for me to tune into around your business, or your purpose, or next steps that may want to unfold? Do you want me to just tune into you, or overall just to have fun with whatever comes through? We can do it all kinds of different ways. So I'm just wondering, how do you want to play?
You know, I don't know that I have any questions. I'm very peaceful and content with my life, so I don't have any questions. I think what would be really great is to reflect the part of me that can be the best sign or mirror to the audience and the collective so
Mm-hmm.
that they can see themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we are all mirrors of one another, and so to reflect the mirror that I am to them would serve
Mm-hmm.
the focus of the show in the best way, I believe.
Sure. All right. Well, just let it come through then, whatever's coming through, and then that'll serve that purpose. I'm sure. There's no two ways about it. So let's just spend a little bit of time. I'm going to tune into Simran's energies. It's per my perception, of course, but usually people say it sounds right on for most everybody, but who knows? We'll see today. But so I'm going to tune into Simran. See, guys, you want to see, you'll be picking up on it too. Watch for the signs, right? So isn't this cool that we've got this all in one show? We're going to see what signs I'm picking up right here in this stream, for me, for Simran, for everybody, for everything. Here we go. Okay. So the first sign is, I just have fun with that, right? The first sign we're getting is that your energy is reflecting to me. Of course, it reflects me and you and everybody, but particularly I'm tuning into you right now. So anyway, I don't get this for everybody. All right, so I'm getting that you're tuning in to the bigger the bigness of life, put it that way. And you're just like, yeah, again, you keep reminding me of one of my friends and clients in the past, but you're like, what's all the fuss about? Let's just like enjoy the beauty of everything. Like, so that's what the first thing I noticed. Is very delightful, very fun. So I just noticed that. So that's extraordinarily different than the average person, because we're all like, how do I get it right? How am I going to be right? How am I going to be well enough? How am I going to be good enough? Whereas you have, at this point at least, I don't know your full history at all, but like at this moment in time, you're reflecting, what's all the fuss about? Just taking the beauty of life. So that's one aspect I'm noticing. So let's tune in some more, see what else is coming through. Yeah, the elementals seem to coalesce, well into your energy and your brain. So that's cool. Crown chakra energy and all that good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, it's like it does feel like it makes sense with the creativity, because it does have the vibe of wholeness, but also of creation. It's like, let's this lovely holistic kind of vibe of, yeah, it's like I feel it in your brain, just like, I'm feeling this creative impulse. Let's just, yeah, okay, yeah, yes. I just get like a yes, and then things start happening from there. Okay, cool. All right, let's take a look at let's look at the brain a little bit. I'm curious about your brain a little bit. Um, hmm. Yeah, you're really strong. There's a lot of circulation from that right side of the brain. It brings you more in that sense of wholeness. So, hmm. Yeah, so of course you've got that enlightened mind going pretty strong there. Um, Yeah, what I would question, okay, if I may, if that's even possible. But no, what I would question is if that left brain sometimes feels, I know it can be strong, but I also wonder if it feels slightly neglected at times. So, I'm feeling it is. So it would probably feel good with a little bit more grounded energy of some details, is what I'm getting. And there could be concerns in your psyche. Okay, just a theory. I don't know. That if we get too into that, even though I know you could be really good at details, don't get me wrong, but if we get too deep into the woods with that, we're gonna miss out on the beauty of life, and then it just doesn't really matter. It just doesn't really matter. Come on. So I get kind of that thing. So there may be some resistances in there on some drilling in deeper to some details in life and business is the vibe I'm getting with that. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I mean, the third eye is really laser. I mean, it's like a strong, like a laser beam, how it shows up for me. Just so, yeah, that's really strong. Yeah, so you just cut through beautifully. You could just cut through any situation and just see more of the heart of the matter, the truth. Um, Even like the bottom line, I want to say. So, okay, cool. A lot of wonderful energy there. Um, you've got your own way, of course, right? The way you talk, the way you transmit, that just puts people into that space I keep talking about. And but you do have that visionary aspect of being able to help people indirectly and directly with their creative process and experiencing their essence and all that. Yes, essence, but like their soul vision, you know, being created. So you can perceive it, you can activate it. for them and create those energies for them that bring them into synchronicity with that. So I notice this aspect. Yeah, it's got a lot of playful energy in there. Okay, great, great. It's like, how long do we want to play together? Another year, another 2 years? How long is this journey? Is how I hear it. Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Now we get to the really fun stuff. I get like some more fire that wants to come through is the vibe I get through the throat. So the words fire breathing dragon came to mind. So you've got that very lovely energy, perfectly content, perfectly yes. But then there's this fire breathing dragon that I feel coming from deeper within and then through the throat. Um, yeah, and so yeah, it's enlightened dragon, but it's let's see more of what it's saying. Let's see what signs it's giving us. Yes. Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because you've got such a heart and such like acceptance and just letting everything be and all that just happening, and yet this fire comes through. So it's like um there is more insistence or greater strength that wants to come through the voice sometimes that um yeah, so maybe there's somewhere in the psyche that's saying, well, if I go to that, then I don't have all that cool vibe that I love experiencing being the way I am now through my voice and through my energy. So, but it seems like more of that wants to be embraced is just what I'm picking up on. Okay, so let's see what's just coming through. That's all a hassle. I don't want to do that. So there's something. Okay, so I didn't put in the first part. Okay, but I'm just speaking out loud here. So there's also this idea of maybe like having a center, which may not appeal to you at all because it's a minute we create a structure, now we're doing it like everybody else. Okay. But you have magazines, you have books, you're doing like everybody else anyway. So okay. But yeah, there's something about a center. Maybe it could be like an 1111 center. Wouldn't that be fun? People are like, that's like the Twin Towers in New York. Oh my God, what's that all about? Wouldn't that be interesting? So something about that. Let's see what's coming through. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's other people. I hear like staff, whatever that means, but staff people working together with you. Um, there is a little bit more of it's a lovely there's a business like energy. Um, yeah, it could be something like bringing more. It could be like something where we're creating more distribution. As part of this center. And what else? Let's see. Yeah, definitely like a community vibe, like we're all sharing and embodying this way of being as a center, whatever. Again, this is just a raw download, not all the details. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, uh, it's just to stand for all for what you've been teaching about all those things. 1111 keeps coming to mind, and yeah, okay. So let's see if there's any other details right now. No. Okay, so we're gonna leave it there. All right. Yeah, I mean, there may be some vulnerability in the heart still. Could be like I won't like I don't want to be hooked in emotionally or energetically to anything that could be destructive, like in a quote unquote negative way. And so there may be some guard there. Um, yeah, I just kind of feel like, yeah, just I don't know how to put the words into it at this moment, but I just get like some yeah, because you're part of that universal pulse of life, and it flows in so many ways in your energy, um, and you have that love, but there is a caution in the heart. Okay, let's see. Yeah, power centers really got tremendous amount of clearness. Doing thousands of these, it's very, very, very clear, actually. But yes, again, some more of this enlightened dragon energy wants to come through, is what I'm calling it for now. Let's be get a little bit stronger in the roots, a little bit stronger in the voice. Yeah, not because anything's wrong, but because something wants to come in. Okay, all right. Let's see what else. Hmm. Yeah, just I think the center and everything is, again, it's a new vision for humanity. It's not a static paradigm, but it's like a pointing into this deeper truth, a new way for humanity kind of vibe I get on it. Okay, cool. All right. What else is coming up right now? Sacral energy. Um, hmm. Just like this vibe I get of wanting to eliminate suffering in the world. Yeah, like there's like this vibe of just almost like wanting to, hmm, in a sense, hold people in a way where they can let go of all that dispiritness. I can't wait to play back the replay to see what your expression kind of, because everybody else always says, "Didn't you see what I faced when you said this or that?" I don't know. So I'm just thinking of that right now. But like just like letting like people just I see people like screaming and wailing. It may not be literal, but that's what I see. And it's like you're there, yeah, okay, let it out. It's okay. So you bring that safety, that permission to let all this disparate energy of suffering to come out of people, um like a deep rooter, rotor rooter they call it, whatever. Yeah, um yeah, it's almost like you're in a shiva, but a motherling energy uh for humanity, and it's like, oh, gonna have X amount of newborn kids in the world, something like that. That makes any sense to you guys? Let's see. The root chakra. Hmm. I wanted to tune into the money energy because money is always interesting, with everybody, and for you, I think I find it interesting. So it's definitely like, yeah, I like money. Like I feel that, and the so grounds well with I like money. Um, hmm, yeah, that you're right. Definitely, I can vouch for her. Right? There's not a massive attachment to money, okay, at all, and comes and goes. Okay, yeah, just like everything else. Yeah. Um, okay, let me see. There's something else I wanted to be shared on this though. It's like if I try to when I go to looking at expanding the energy for money, it's like then in the upper field it feels like, oh, it could get really heavy, and so there could be definitely some beliefs around it's complicated, it's not worth it, and all. Doesn't mean you need to fill a stadium like you kind of mentioned before, but like, yeah, like there may be some greater energy that wants to come into a structure, but then it's like, oh, this could crush me or something like that. So let's see what could help you with that. What I perceive. More real quick, wrapping up this. Okay. Yeah, just that basic idea, the team makes the dream work thing. To keep because everyone brilliantly will just do their part, and the right people just come along, right? what I'm sensing is that your heart, your being is aching for you to open just a bit more, to more of the bigness of what wants to manifest on a more physical level, maybe, or whatever, you know what I mean. So I'm just sensing that. Okay. So there's trillions more things we could share over time, right? But that's just what's coming through right now. And usually what I just ask at the end of that, Simran, is just for you to share, maybe just two or three aspects that might have kind of got your attention as a sign. And we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, thank you. That was delightful. I would say it was pretty accurate. I actually have had a center before. That's where
Oh,
11
cool.
started, and I had
Was
a
it
center.
called 1111, that you're
No, it
saying?
was called the Belief Center.
Belief Center.
I had
Okay.
it for a few years, and then when I divorced, that part of that chapter of my life kind of closed as well.
Mhm.
And I think you hit on everything pretty accurately. You'll see when I talk about the third book in my trilogy in the next show that we do together that the first grace within the seven human graces is simplicity, and that is to counteract complexity. And so,
Mhm.
I'm not interested in getting into complex things.
Right.
And I'm very much of a loner. Like I would have made a perfect monk, but
Mhm.
that's where all of my creativity comes from. That aloneness is really valuable to me.
Yeah.
It is how I am able to stream things forward into the world. And I think that, your comment about the team making the dream work, um, I think that that's probably the part that I've not let in, uh,
Mhm.
that I could definitely open to. So you were very much on target with a lot of the things, and yet at the same time I'm very, very content. The dragon was a beautiful image. I actually have an image that I just posted on my Instagram page in a little reel, and it was a goddess in front of a fire-breathing dragon. And
Ah,
so that was a perfect sign. But there is a story that I have to tell. I just haven't been able to put it into words because it is a true life story, and it is one of a great deal of pain. And you mentioned that you put it more in terms of a center. I really think it's probably my three books, the sevens, the trilogy.
mhm.
That's the work of bringing the suffering out of people that I
Mhm.
you were mentioning. They are
Mhm.
an institute in and of themselves.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think, I'm open to whatever comes, but I'm also at a point where it's really important for me to take care of myself and maintain a
Yeah.
balance, which is part of my desire to be an example for people,
Yeah.
to really illustrate to people that you don't have to have the whole world if it's at a compromise of your health, your well-being, your
Right.
self,
Right.
your soul.
Right.
Can you be happy with what you can create, and also
Mhm.
take care of yourself in equal measure, and
Mhm.
and be accepting of that. So, thank you for
Yeah.
the insight. It was lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I was picking up on. I'm like, well, no, that could crush me. I don't want that. That's so I totally get where that's coming from. And there's nothing, it is whatever it is. I just share what comes through, like I tell people, and whatever wants to happen from there is going to be whatever it is. So it's all good. But yeah, I'm grateful to share, and that there's some cool signs that came through, right? So speaking of which, as we're starting to wrap up just for today, yeah, where do you want to direct people to get
Yes,
to grab their copy of Signs?
yes, yes. So this is the book, and
Uh-huh.
I want them to get their copy of Signs, Sacred Encounters with Pathways, Turning Points, and Divine Guideposts. It is the ninth book in the Common Sentience series by Sacred Stories Publishing. So there's a whole series of wonderful books that helps the mainstream take in the mystical and make it more normal and common for us, which I think is really important right now. And I think that if you pick up this book, you will never look at life the same way, and it will be a beautiful new look at life. So I hope that everyone goes out and gets their copy and starts
Awesome.
all the signs that they're encountering.
Awesome. Yes, I've got a copy. I've been a little behind on actually reading it yet, but I appreciate what you're doing, and definitely I'm gonna check it out, especially now that we've done the show. So I'm being transparent. Okay. So, but yeah, obviously the transmission of Simran in any form is going to absolutely give you more of what you're experiencing today, which I'm imagining for most of you is very delicious. So definitely grab a copy of the science book if that speaks to you. All right. And then I'll just say for me, if you want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. The energy scans are a lot different on this show. Each show, I feel anyway, they're different. I usually always do the chakras and stuff, but the focus is different because it's a different vibe to do a show versus when I have somebody that I meet with privately. So if you want to meet with me privately, get your energy scan, and we could go much more in depth and detailed privately. Take advantage of my Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation. You do need to make an investment to do that. And, and then I give you, all I can within one session. And we could also explore further work together if we want to. It's an option. But only if you're ready to rock. I always say, you got to be ready to rock. You got to be whatever that means to you. If you're ready to rock, check it out, take advantage. And then I also get your make money meditation, open up to the good energies, open your chakras a little there, right? And let the good energy of abundance of money in, and just get those natural downloads coming in, the signs, all those dollar signs and all that fun, and most people tell me there's something deeper than money going on in these meditation. What do you know? What about that? So check out your make money meditation. You can get that for free at yoursacredpurpose.com. So Simran, I'm grateful you're on today. We're going to have another show coming up. Guys, if you're listening now and it's been a while since this show came out, or even if it just came out, watch for the next show. In a number of weeks, just not that long from now, there's going to be another show you'll find on my podcast where we're going to talk about these graces, 7 graces, and all kind. Oh my God, I listened to one of her interviews on that, and it's amazing. So can't imagine. It's going to be really amazing on this show, what we're going to get into with that. So look for that show as well. And now I just want to say thank you, Simran, for being on the show. You're an absolute treasure to the world, really sincerely. And I'm so grateful you came on today.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your time and your presence, your enthusiasm, and all of the gifts that you bring to the planet. I appreciate being on your show.
Thank you. And thanks to all our listeners. Keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till the next time.
Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.